from Muskegon, Michigan, this is Tiger Talks Wrestling.
Make sure everything's good here. Yep, we got you. All right. Well, welcome to Tiger Talks Wrestling. This is your host, Tony. I am joined today by the NUW Continental Champion JJ, the Pitbull Cordero. Welcome to the show.
How you doing, Tony? Thank you.
Doing good, thanks. How you doing?
Good.
I see the Dark Side's in the chat room already. Hopefully we got this thing going. Let me know if you guys are seeing everything fine there. Chat section real quick. Looks like everything's the way I want it to be, so you guys will notice a little bit different than we're having to screen share like we did last week. Just have to deal with things for now.
That's right, Tony. We have to deal with it for now.
Pretty much. Well, let's jump right into things. What first got you involved in backyard wrestling?
Well, just, watching wrestling, period, just seeing what they do on TV and, kind of inspired me to, do it myself. A few of my friends in middle school, I can remember going back to big-time wrestling fans, and we all got together one day and just, started going at it and just took off from there,
Nice. All right. Who would you say, let's start first with who some of your pro wrestling influences were?
One of my biggest influences was Shawn Michaels. I can remember way back to, just watching everything he did. And, just the way he moved in the ring,
Yeah.
Also, I would say, I would have to say Rey Mysterio too. I would have to throw, because someone of his size and stature to do the things he did and accomplish the things he has, kind of inspires other people that want to do great things.
Right. Definitely agree with that. A couple of good guys to have as influences, that's for sure.
Definitely.
Now, how about not necessarily in wrestling, but influences altogether towards your character and things that you do in wrestling-wise?
Me, I just, I've always had a calm demeanor about myself, because, when I, get crazy, I get crazy. That's just who my character is. Just me dialed up at 1,000. I'll take on anybody, anytime. I don't care if you're 7'3", 250 pounds. I'll come at you. And even if you do, when I get back up, yeah. So, I got that, what you want to call it, like a Napoleon complex, but, I'm just,
right.
I'm not out to prove myself to anybody. I just don't let anybody try to, punk me for my size.
Yeah.
So that's another, thing I threw into the Pitbull, because, Pitbulls are vicious.
Right.
Once they get a hold, they don't let go, They don't got to be big to make an impact, Tony.
That's true. That's very true.
See, current, at the top of my game, it's tough, people being bigger than me, but, I give them a run for a minute.
Right. Okay. How would you say your character has developed from your origins back in your early days in PFW compared to now in NUW?
Back then it was, just, developing, where do I stand? How do I go about this? Am I going to go about this with all smiles and go cheer for me? Or, so I figured it's just best just to go in for me and, just give them a read. Like, even if I lose, you know, it's, to me, it's like, at the end of the day, they're going to be like, wow, him. You know, that little guy gave me a run for my money. You know,
Right.
so developing that into, you know, or I should say, using that what I started to like later on, is like that was kind of like the main like influence. You know, just get in there, hit them hard, give them like, you know, give them something to remember you by. You know, you don't got to win every time, but you know, if you can, you know, if you could leave them looking at you like, wow, that you gave me a run for my money. That, you know, that works for me. And the longer I wrestled, of course, you know, the better developed, you know, my skills are. So,
Right.
I would say now that I was pretty good. I can't wait to, you know, also definitely tune in the next season. NUW is going to be crazy.
Yeah. So would you say you've had a few different theme songs throughout your career? What would you say they mean to you?
Just like, man, someone will, as soon as I music hits on, you like, dude, I want your ears to perk up and look like, oh, who's that? You know, I try to, you know, have a lot of dog music, you know, like, you know, Pitbull.
Uh-huh.
The fit, you know, because you hear that, you know, you hear that grr of the dog, and you're like, okay, you know, this, you know, it's gonna be a vicious dude,
right?
You know, when you see me, you're like, wow, that little guy. Then again, once you see what I could do in the ring, you're like, okay, it makes sense. You know, my current theme is just one of my favorites. I do have to tell you. Because, you know, I'm my own person in my own ways, but, you know, I learned from the best. You know, my father, you know, very, very well. So again, some life lessons from my father, you know, kind of influenced, you know, who I am, and, you know, put more into the character myself.
Nice. Right. Let's talk a little bit about PFW. What was it like for you when you first started out there?
I was just excited just to, you know, have a match, you know, just have an opponent at the other end of the ring. You know, that was amazing. And, you know, after, you know, the first match, it was, you know, it's just, you know, you want more. So, like, I had a lot of different opponents in PFW. You know, one of my favorite opponents in PFW was the Dark Side. You know, someone you're very familiar with, as I am well. You know, he's phenomenal in the ring. You know, so, and yeah, just a lot of time spent in PFW learning and developing crucial skills that, you know, brought me forward.
Right. Before I move on to the match that we want to talk about from that, the Dark Side is in the chat room. Says, yeah, good shit that we got going on. J Joker Design says, I'm here. And Yankee says, yo, I'm here. What's up, Grace?
Yankee, I said, what up, everyone? What's going on? Thanks for tuning in.
Okay. So let's talk about the one match that you wanted me to make sure we mentioned in here from PFW, of course, being the triple threat match from Apocalypse.
Oh,
set the scene for it.
What did you think of that match first off?
I thought it was a very good match. Very brutal, that's for sure.
Yes, very brutal. You know, like
very hardcore.
Yes, very hardcore. And another person, one of the other PFW wrestlers, Marcus, the Problem Hawkins, he also was a very good competitor in that match that you saw. Yeah, I just remember going into that match thinking, all right, this is going to be it's going to be a good match. You know, I got two fierce competitors, and all I wanted to do is just kick some ass and keep my titles. You know, like, it didn't work out that way for me. You know,
Nope.
I got put through a door.
Couple different times through that door.
Yeah, a couple different times to that door. I think I remember correctly. I dropped the dark side on some fluorescent bulbs.
Yep, you did.
Yeah, we tore that yard apart, and also ourselves apart.
Yes. There's a couple ladders involved, and cookie sheets, all kinds of good stuff.
Oh yeah, I think that's just, you know, that's just something we did on an everyday thing. PFW, you know, so we didn't care about disqualifications, and you know, there was a cookie sheet or a pan in there, you're getting hit with it.
Right.
If you're on the other end of the ring with the dark side, he's gonna throw that shit at you, and you're gonna get hit with it either way.
Yeah. Well, Darkseid does say, honestly, we all thought that was going to be our last matches, hence the name Apocalypse.
Yeah, we did going into that match thinking that was going to be our last match. We didn't know what we were going to do after that, but you know, greener pastures we saw.
Yep. Speaking of, let's jump right into that. The first time we would see you in what was then BEW, of course, you showed up and aligned yourself with Novin, and
yes. Nope.
in his feud with the Dark Side at the time as well.
Yes. Well, at that time, Novin had a common enemy, you know, and you know, I was, you know, away for a while and wanted to get back into it, and you know. It's just one of the situations that kind of worked out. I got to get my hands on someone that beat me the last time we were in the ring, and you know.
Yeah.
So I think that was a very good way to introduce myself into BEW and NUW, you know. And again, what a person for me to debut against. You know,
right.
Have a great match against was the Dark Side, you know. And again, I'm not taking anything away from any of the other wrestlers there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're talking about like a debut and an impact. Like I made an impact, and I made it with Novin, the Ministry, and of course the Dark Side.
Right. Got a couple questions for that, but let's get into Yankees got a question for you first. Wants to know if you moved out of the NBNY.
What's that? Have I what?
If you moved out of the NBNY.
Right.
Okay. So
okay.
I'm just asking questions.
I don't know about
But anyway, so the questions that were sent in about your debut, one wanting to know why you would do that, would decide to align with Novin to take out the Dark Side. And for the second part of that, what did the Dark Side do to you that made you want to join someone as sick as Novin?
Well, first off, answer that question in two ways. Why wouldn't you want to align yourself with one of the powerfulest stables in said company at the time?
Yeah.
Okay, first off, you're untouchable. That's one. Two, you're getting revenge on a man that beat you and took championships away from you.
True.
Yeah. So that's why, you know. And again, I'm not there to shake hands and, you know, make friends, and really, I'm there to win championships, as you can see.
Right.
You know. So that's why I did what I did.
The Yankee was saying he was referring to wondering if you moved out of Newburgh.
Oh yeah, no, I know what you meant. Yeah, I moved out of Newburgh.
All right. What was it like for you on your first day in BEW overall? Your first time meeting the guys there and everything.
Very, very blessed. Very blessed and grateful to have met a great bunch of guys, you know, very welcoming, you know, very, very polite, and again, very skilled, you know.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people, like, you know, don't like, you know, a lot of people don't give these guys a lot of recognition. Like,
it's true.
how truly skilled they are.
I would have to agree with that.
Again, like the welcoming feeling I got there was amazing.
All right. So then let's move in. In your debut match for BEW, you would defeat Tycoon Mikado on episode 26, One Shot at Glory. What was your opinion of wrestling in the ring for the first time?
Wrestling in the ring for the first time was a stiff experience, I will say. You know,
I can imagine.
It's a little harder than what I'm used to, you
right?
know, but you know, try. But again, like my opponent, Tycoon Mikado, I ain't got time to worry about how hard the ring is when I got that crazy guy, you know, the other enemy. So I kind of had to, you know, adjust very quickly. But you know, again, I did pretty good. You know, I thought I did pretty good for my debut match.
Right.
But again, just an overall fun experience for me. You know, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just an all around good time, man. And I won. True.
Can't go wrong with that. Let's move into the next episode, episode 27, Welcome to CJE, where Novin would actually try to recruit Mr. Money in the Bank at the time, Joseph Anthony, into the ministry. And, of course, Joseph would turn that down, leading into you challenging him to a match.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Joseph accepted. And with a little help from Astor, you would go on to defeat him.
Yeah. And then
now what you did afterwards is what's going to come into play here.
Yeah. From the ropes. Not from the ropes. Yeah. I choked him now.
With the noose, yes.
Yeah. That's kind of what kind of happens. It's like, you know, you turn down an offer from me or said ministry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
And being put, this was one of the Ministry of Destruction's darkest moments. What was the moment like for you?
A lesson being taught, you know, it's always good when you can educate somebody, Tony. And I felt like I was educating Joseph Anthony.
All right.
You know, I don't think he was awake for half the shit I was saying to him because, you know, again, I think it all choked out. But, you know, when he watched it back, I think he learned a very valuable lesson at that.
Probably. Also, on that same episode, you had a little more business that night, as the entire ministry would face the dark side. Wait, Rod Ghoul would actually defeat the dark side in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Yeah. So what was that like for the four of you? I believe Novin was really much involved in it.
And just the ministry giving the enemy. Takes down someone very telling your enemy out. You know, Rod Ghoul is very, very good job.
Yeah. All right. So we'd move into the next week. You would face another new competitor or new to you anyways, in Alan Styles Reed.
Yes. Alan is a very good competitor as well. Like, again, I told you about that size differential thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big and kind of really threw me around.
Of course, he might have threw you around, but you still end up getting the lockjaw and then getting the win. So
Yeah. Just like 1 split second. You misstep and you slip up, and I'm there.
right. Of course, Joseph Anthony would return and try to get some revenge, but you managed to escape without getting any damage to you.
I wasn't having that.
Right.
I think he was kind of pissed off.
Could you blame him?
Either way. Anyway.
So in episode 28 Fallout, you made it clear that you wanted to face Joseph Anthony, and for the Money in the Bank briefcase, you wanted and he ended up putting it on the line against you at Day of Destruction 2. That's what it led into.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into that.
Championships to the ministry, and since Joseph Anthony didn't want to join the ministry, I just take the briefcase from him myself, and went in Day of Destruction, with a really big chip from my that is pointed.
Yeah. Getting back to the dark side, facing all of you guys in the ministry, he would go on to defeat Ashter in a tables match on episode 28, and then he was supposed to face you at episode 29, Shadow's Curse, but Novin forced him to face Rob Ghoul and you both in a handicap match. However, Joseph Anthony did join the dark side and made it a tag team match where they walked out victorious.
Yeah, I quickly blame all that on Rob Ghoul. He didn't hold up his weight during that match.
Right.
The ministry, the way the ministry should have been represented, and it cost us a defeat. I think, Rob Ghoul.
Let's move in. On episode 30, Road to Destruction, you would compete against the dark side in the last man standing match. And you would walk out on the losing end of that match.
I was lucky to have walked out of that match. If you watch that match back, we basically almost choked.
Yeah.
So again, I tried to exact my ultimate revenge and get some revenge for the ministry at the same time, but I think I got ahead of myself, and the dark side got the best of me on that play.
What was your favorite moment from that match, if you had one?
My favorite moment, that minute, I had to have been when I lockjawed the dark side through the sink. He had all set up. He thought he was gonna power drive me, or I don't know what the hell he thought he was gonna do, but no. And yeah.
What was happening?
I ended up. I threw him through a big ass sheet of wood. Just through ladders, and I get a headache thinking about that match, Tony. Honestly, that match was so crazy.
All right.
I threw everything I had at him, and wasn't enough that day, but there are other days.
Yeah. On that same day in the same episode, you attacked Joseph Anthony's leg with a steel chair before he went out to face Novin in a match, giving a huge assist to the Last Emotion in going on to defeat Joseph Anthony, of course, on that show.
Bitterness. Don't do what the boss tells you. And if the boss tells you to take out his leg before he gets up, then take out his leg before he gets up.
Okay. So then we move in. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just say just simple, easy.
Yeah.
Point.
So then we go into episode 31, Eve of Destruction, where you would defeat one Paul Peterson.
Paul Peterson. I love all the good competitors, and yeah.
That's about all you got to say? Gotcha.
Yeah. Paul.
Gotcha. So then we'll move into Day of Destruction 2, where you did face Joseph Anthony for the Money in the Bank contract. And in the end, we would see you get caught in midair with a chemical reaction, as Joseph Anthony would retain his Money in the Bank briefcase.
Like I said before, that was disappointing. I got ahead of myself again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, thinking I could thinking Joseph Anthony was going to be a easy win, as they would say. That wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And he did get the best of me that day.
Right. And that wouldn't be the last we'd see of you that night, though, because you, along with the other members of the ministry, would go on to help Novin defeat the Dark Side in a brutal 3 Stages of Hell match, which led to the Dark Side's termination. Had to feel good at that point in time to see the Dark Side gone.
Of course it did. You know, it's like, you work hard to get rid of a problem, and then finally, you got accomplished.
Right. So then on episode 32, The New Era, which was, of course, being run by Novin at that point in time, you saw yourself in a 10-man battle royal to determine who would go on to face Jordan Oliver at the Backyard Rumble 2 for the BEW Championship. You got eliminated by Cameron Jackson, and then you returned back into the match and eliminated Cam from the match. Why would you go back in there and eliminate Cam from the match?
That was kind of one of those things about being backstage. And, didn't think he was worthy enough to be in there. So, I took matters into my own hands and, threw him out. It's just pretty cut and dry. If you, you got something you want to get done, get it done. I saw Cameron messing around. Didn't think I'd come back out. So it was a perfect opportunity to get the best of him. I think I did.
So now, of course, we would see one Freddie Flamingo actually win that said battle royal, if I remember correctly. That turned out to be the Dark Side. So what was going through your mind as you seen that happen?
First off, trying to wrap my head around that Freddie Flamingo was hard enough as it was, and then competing, and then it turns out to be the Dark Side. It just that weight that got lifted off your shoulders, it just immediately got time. All the problems start happening again.
Right.
It's not a good.
But luckily for you, I guess you could put it, you haven't really had much interaction with the Dark Side since then, which we'll get into that reasoning here in a little bit. But we would move on to episode 33, Last Rites, where Cam would actually challenge you to a match for Backyard Rumble 2. What were you thinking first when he threw out the challenge to you?
First thing thinking, really? You're challenging me? Okay. Kind of respected it. So, not really much to think about. Someone's challenging you, you accept. Feel.
Right. Let's move into the Backyard Rumble 2. To kick off the show, we'd actually see a pretty good match between you and Cameron Jackson that you would walk out victorious in.
Yes. Oh man, Cameron, he's a handful to deal with in the ring, as you saw.
Right?
It was very, 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 very hot that day.
Yeah.
You know, and like again, Cameron is a phenomenal athlete, and he gave me a good run for my money that day. I'll tell you that, Tony. You know, well, go ahead.
He hit you with a pie at one point during that match. And Ben sent in the question, what flavor was it?
Yeah. He very intricate with weapon of choice. So I from the fan he had just given me, and the heat's on me, and I turn around and I get a pie in my face mid-match. Now, honestly, it could have at least been cherry. Nope. You know, so again, you know, I get the short 20-minute clip on that one.
Yeah. And Kid would actually chase you with a vacuum cleaner as well at that show.
Yeah, he did. You know, I thought it was funny that, you know, dogs don't like vacuums, and I didn't know what his intentions were. It said vacuum, so I wasn't sticking around to find out.
Yeah, don't blame you. Now, of course, you would go on to have a decent run in the Backyard Rumble too. Came up a little bit short though. We've seen. You made it towards the end, not quite the end, but close to the end anyway.
Yeah, I remember. But again, Tony, you got a lot of other competition in there. You know.
It's true.
It only takes one mistake, and that's it.
Yep. So from there, we'd go into Open Fight Night 2. Novin irate at the fact that he had no help from the rest of the ministry at the Backyard Rumble 2 main event for the BEW Championship against champion Jordan Oliver and Havoc. Tasting his first defeat in BEW would turn into Novin disowning you, first of all, and Ragul. And first would give a last rites tombstone pile driver to Ragul, then forced you into a public apology. What was going through your head as he forced that and then also humiliated you by making you bark like a dog on your knees?
Really, humiliation, but at the same time wanting to keep the ministry together, not hoping that one mistake would rip it apart like it did. But yeah, all in all, the feeling I had was pure humiliation. I mean, how would you feel if, you know?
Same way.
Oh yeah. But then, you know, at the same time, in the back of my mind, a little bit of rage for someone making me do that.
Yeah. And of course, as you would go to stand up for yourself, he would hit you with a choke slam. Leading into the first ever Novin's Rules match.
Yep, and he disowned me anyway. After all that, he disowned me. Yeah, and then the Novin's Rules match happened.
Which meant he could change the stipulation at any point he wanted to, which we seen first. He made you have one arm tied behind your back. And then changed it to a no disqualifications match. And then a falls count anywheres match.
Yeah.
Then he would...
I quit.
Before that, he'd ban the lock jaw. But yeah. Yep. Which, of course, with all those rules, pretty easy. Right. Pretty easy for Novin to pick up the victory in there.
Yeah, I was kind of held back at every corner on that match.
It was a very good performance on your behalf, but just was too much from Novin changing the roles all the time.
Well, I know. At the end of it, he was coming at me with, like, he was coming at my eye.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Kind of didn't have a choice.
He's got to throw in the towel sometimes. He wouldn't. I know him. He wouldn't have stopped unless he heard it. So
then on the 35th and final episode under the BEW name, Shadow Grim would defeat Novin in a casket match, setting people like you away from the last emotion. What was your thoughts and opinions when you seen that match take place and saw Joseph Anthony and Shadow Grim work together to take out Novin?
sad that I couldn't have been there to help them, but you know, as long as it gets done one way, I would have loved to have done it myself. Don't get that wrong. But as long as someone else is doing it, you know, one hand washes the other.
Right. Now,
I was going to say at that time, after that, I didn't know what I was going to do after the ministry. So,
which we'll get into, of course. On the anniversary special celebrating 4 fantastic years, Nevon McDonald would make his return back to the company as his normal self, leading it into a new direction, changing the name, of course, to Newburgh Underground Wrestling, changing the color, bringing in all new championship titles. He awarded the Rising Star champion Midnight Moon and rechristened him the new NUW Continental Champion. Now, before I get into the rest of that, what was your thoughts of seeing Nevon McDonald, first of all, return back to the company and change all this change that was taking place?
Oh, first off, I want to kick Nevon's ass, just flat out, just to point. But you know, I get everybody has a different personality, you know. So I that was the only thing preventing me from doing that at that point. But it was good to see him, and you know, really excited for the you know.
Right. Now, of course, after giving Midnight Moon the new NUW Continental Championship, Nevon would also give you the first shot at that title.
Yeah. Basically, he gave me the first opportunity at the newly awarded championship to Midnight Moon, which is the Continental title. You know, everybody wants to be the champion, the undisputed champion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I never set, I always set my goals high, but never too high that I can't handle at one time. So, you know, when it was the Rising Star title, that was one title I wanted to get my hands on, no matter what. And, you know, I just felt grateful for the opportunity to just, you know, get my hands on.
Right. And of course, on that episode, you would go on to defeat Midnight Moon in one stellar performance to become the second ever NUW Continental Champion. Now, I have seen some people say, I think I even might have said, it was the match of the night on that show. What does that mean to you for people to think of that match so highly?
So you cut out before. What did you say before?
I was saying, some people have said, I believe I've seen it on the video for it, and I have said myself that that match was the match of the night on that show. What does it mean to you to have people say that about that match?
Very, very humbled. Like I said, I just go in there. I go into every match and give it 110% every time, you know. And like I said, Midnight Moon really brought out the best in me that night. And, you know, just through everything we went through and, you know, just to have won that match and, you know, have the title up at the end of it was, you know, very, very filling.
Right.
And it just, not to say I thought we had a bad match, you know, and other people had, you know, great matches that night too, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel very honored that people, were to say that was the best match of the night.
Okay. So then we wouldn't see you for the next couple of episodes on NUW programming. The next time we would actually see you was Road to Gold 2, where you would defend the championship in a triple threat match against Midnight Moon and one Mike Fresh, who you're very familiar with.
Yes. Also a former PSW wrestler and champion.
Correct?
Very, very talented athlete. Combined with Midnight Moon was a big challenge to overcome. A lot of nerves going into that match.
Right.
A lot of unknowns. A lot of what am I going to do? But you got to shake off the butterflies once you walk through that curtain.
So let me start. My first question for that one is, I don't know if you've seen it or not, the pre-show that went up before Road to Gold 2. There was a lot of people that were picking against you to win that triple threat match. How did that make you feel to see so many people doubt you?
That's nothing familiar to me. I've always been, even before I started wrestling, I've always been doubted in anything. And, people doubt me just, because they say, hey, can't do it. So again, I prove all the doubters wrong. I don't let somebody's negativity influence my performance.
Right.
It's like, that's how you turn the negative, like the doubters into believers. Because that guy sitting there in the front row saying, well, he ain't gonna win, and then you prove him wrong. But wow.
I will admit I was one of those doubters that actually picked Mike Fresh to win that match, but it was a great match between all three of you. So
thank you.
Yep.
Let me ask you something. Feeling shocked when I won was, that feeling like, wow, okay, all right.
Yeah, pretty much. It was made a convincer out of me. I guess you could put it that way. So,
thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
That was
anybody watching this. Anybody want to have me wrestle a chair promotion to the slaughterhouse? And then basically, kind of like if anybody doubts me, nowhere to find me.
So Jay Joker says, I doubted you, JJ, and I do apologize. I felt the odds were against you, and you showed that no matter those odds, you whooped ass.
Thank you, JJ Joker. Yeah, odds are always against you. Odds can never be in your favor. If the odds are in your favor, then something might be a little wrong.
Right.
It's always better back against you.
You guys put on another match of the night candidate in that match anyways. However, after the match, after we seen you raising the title high because you got the victory, you got laid out by Mike Fresh with the chair, and he actually was the last person seen raising the title high.
Yeah, Mike Fresh kind of upset that he didn't get the win that night.
Mm-hmm.
And pure Fresh form hit me from behind with a chair. But that's will be Fresh.
Speaking of that, we did see on the most recent episode of Slaughterhouse, episode 4, you have thrown a challenge out there to Mike Fresh, offering him a title match for Halloween Hell.
Yeah, yes. He wants it coming. All you have to do in the first place.
All right.
Just ask.
In other words, you're going to be a fighting champion.
Yeah, I'm going to be a fighting champion.
So what was there any difference between winning the PFW championships compared to actually winning the Continental Championship as your first title in NUW?
No. It's just you win a title, a championship, no matter what. Like, you won a championship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the TTW championship is, my first title that I held. I would forget that. And winning the competition is just the previous, the things, when the my world title.
Yeah.
I have my show.
Okay. So how much, if any, difference was there between going from PFW, where you didn't really have an audience there, to going to NUW, where there's always an audience watching live when you guys are performing?
Oh, it was definitely a switch, because you're in live, you got a lot of eyes on you. So
Yeah.
plus, at the same time, it was good for people to actually see what I could do, and like the people that come get into the ring, and they need to be stuck out and for the bell, or right into them, standing on top of my hand where he's going.
Right. As I was going to mention earlier, part of the reason we haven't really seen, you haven't had to deal with the dark side since he did win that battle royal, was we seen at King of the Yard last year, he got injured during his match with Navon McDonald. Now, my question to you is, King of the Yard was, of course, there in BEW, or at the time BEW, in the Slaughterhouse. You were not a part of that, however. Would you be a part of it if they had a second one this year, do you think?
Yes, of course. If they did have another one, I would be part of it. I unfortunately couldn't be part of the first one due to personal problems at the time.
Yeah.
But I definitely say yes. I would love to be a part of it.
So a follow up to that, if it does happen, you're a part of it. Who would you choose for a first round opponent outside of NUW?
Outside of NUW, I really don't have any, because there's people that I do think about that I can on the matches with, and I could name off one or two, but
yeah.
Anybody like that.
There you go. Speaking of that, do you see yourself ever traveling anywhere and being part of a crossover, like a Best in the Yard, for instance?
Oh yes, I would. We're in, and my schedule will allow it. I would definitely like to another place and bring my brand of fierce competitive in it to their ring.
That's interesting. Definitely something I think would be good to see venture out and compete with a lot of different guys out there. Some of them have actually come to NUW, of course, as well. So
yes, that'll be. It'd be nice to over there, that's Pitbull. So to turn our heads, I'm definitely for it.
So I want to ask you, Joseph Anthony has recently been referring to NUW as Navon Underground Wrestling. Do you agree with his sentiment on that, or would you disagree to a certain extent on that?
We're gonna have to throw a white flag on this one and stay neutral.
Okay.
Honestly, no. I don't think it means Navon Underground Wrestling. That might be a little rib, but no.
That could very well be. So where do you see yourself going in NUW for the rest of this season, for the rest of this year?
I see myself just, just defending the title, going wherever the next day takes me. So you never know what could happen in Slaughterhouse.
True. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, I've got a little hot seat question here. I got a newer one that I started doing. I'm going to throw you 3 names, and I want you to tell me, out of these 3 guys, which one you would job, which one you would push, and which one you would fire.
Okay.
All right. There are 3 names that you're going to know because they've been there in the Slaughterhouse. First one, UWE's badass, Rick Rios. Second one, the newly NUW Hall of Famer, Jordan Oliver. And the third one, the current NUW champion, Joseph Anthony.
All right, what was it? Push, fire,
and job.
All right. I push Jordan Oliver. I job Joseph Anthony. And I fire Rick Rios.
Wow. Care to elaborate?
Honestly.
Yeah. All right.
I like that. More names.
Hey, I just picked 3 names out of there. Something interesting to see what people say. Now, besides Mike Fresh, who would you say is on your radar in NUW that you think that you see as a potential future opponent?
Paul Peterson.
Yeah?
No. Honestly, a future opponent of mine, I would like to face Shadow Graham. Tussle up with him. He's a big guy that seems like he'd give me a good run for my money, and likewise. So I think it'd be nice to mix it up with him.
That'd be interesting to see. That's for sure. Hey, that could be a potential future champion versus champion match too. I mean, Shadow Graham does have the world title match coming up at Halloween Hell too, so that could be interesting. All right. So I know there's about 1 or 2 people in the chat room. They're being very quiet tonight. But if you guys got anything you want to ask, go ahead and ask real quick. I know you said something about needing to keep this kind of short tonight. So, what did I skip?
I got like another few minutes.
Yeah. So overall, what would you say your time in BEW/NUW has been like for you so far?
It's just been, honestly, if you're obviously a fan of wrestling yourself, and just to be into that wrestling family, it's a very big family. You meet a lot of new people, a lot of new friendships are born. So a lot of good things come from wrestling, Tony.
Right. So since he was in the chat room earlier, I don't know if he's still in here or not watching, but Yankee has, of course, Proving Ground that takes place there at the Slaughterhouse as well. Have you seen much of that, or have you been there to see it in person? I would imagine some of it, and if you have, do you think it's something that you would perhaps venture to at some point?
Yes, definitely. I've actually seen Yankee in the ring myself, and he's a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
That guy. But yeah, of course, it's like I'm always open to new adventures. Opportunities. Anything I could sink my teeth into. Anything I could stamp my name. Have me at the other end of whatever ring in the corner. My name on the card. Just wherever I can get out there, man.
The reason I asked was because I know David Lowell has showed up recently in Proving Ground. So
David Lowell. He is another person I would like to get into the ring with.
that'd be interesting.
Very, very skilled competitor. He is.
All right. I'll talk a little bit more about Proving Ground, but first, the King of the Mountain himself that we were alluding to is in the chat room. Yes, indeed. Says JJ, it's Navon McDonald, but you already know that. I hope you can forgive me from our past history. You're one of the best performers the Slaughterhouse has ever seen and a great champion. Hopefully we can really get to know each other better.
Yeah, maybe. Look forward to getting a little bit better. And thank you for the kind words. I'll forgive our historic past and hopefully move on to a brighter future.
Maybe. The funny part is his comments would be followed up by the Dark Side saying the Dark Side versus JJ the Pitbull Cordero will happen again.
Oh, for a fact. Ain't gonna be no Dark Side victory.
Not this time, huh?
No. Not this time.
All right. So since you said you'd be interested in taking part in Proving Ground, is there anybody specific on the Proving Ground roster that you think would be worth your time to step in there with?
Honestly, if I'm gonna, go to a Proving Ground, I'm gonna want to face the best that they have to offer. And who do you think is gonna be the best in Proving Ground? It's gonna be Yankee.
Yankee's more so the GM than he is a wrestler there, but yeah.
Well, to go there, he's the guy that has to want to face. I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it, but it's just got to happen.
There you go. At some point in time, right? I mean, if you showed up at Proving Ground, I would say you and Victor Van Pelt, the current Proving Ground champion, would be an interesting match.
Yes. I gotta agree with you there too. I would like to see Mr. Van Pelt has to offer.
Right. Let me throw out some other names from Proving Ground and see what you think of them. We of course know that Jordan Oliver's next opponent on Slaughterhouse. Wow, I just drew a blank on his name. It's a guy. I'll get back to that guy anyway. But he's going to be facing Victor Van Pelt at Stand Your Ground. Sorry, I'm bad with some names. He's another guy that you guys are familiar with in NUW because he started out there, and I'm sure somebody will tell me in the chat room who I'm thinking of because his name's just drawing a blank in my head. But Darkside has a question for you real quick before I get into that. Chicken strips or mozzarella sticks?
Chicken strips and mozzarella sticks.
That's what Navon said too. Both. There you go.
You gotta go with both, baby.
All right. So going from some Proving Ground names. Have you seen any of Brandon Castelli? First of all, let's go with him. I take that as a no. A couple of guys that came in from NLBW. They're brand new to the show.
Where?
On the Proving Ground.
I'm not saying it's the rip-on. Kind of said that a little fast. Who was that guy you told me about?
Brandon Castelli is his name. He came from NLBW and works there in Proving Ground now. Along with Evan Blake. There's another name. I'm surprised they haven't told me yet. Mike Perillo. That's the name I was looking for.
Yeah, he's Mike Perillo. Mix it up with him.
I was expecting somebody to tell me his name, but it just came to my head. And they didn't say nothing, so. All right. No, definitely. Get a chance to, you should check out some of Pitbull. They got so many different guys on that show now. But yeah, you and Yankee would be interesting to see at some point too.
1 second.
Yep. So as
Yankee would be nice to see on the show at one point.
yeah, he's got his hands a little bit busy. But since you mentioned that you want to face Yankee, what would you do to counteract the Murder Club? Since wherever Yankee goes, Murder Club seems to follow lately. Interesting.
You're only as strong as you. There's always a weak link in there somewhere.
That there may be. No.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I have to go for some coffee.
So where do you think you'd see yourself traveling to if you did go and compete at a crossover event besides possibly a VTW?
I'm really not too sure. Better, I know you're an interviewer, but where's one place you'd like to see me go?
Well, I know it's a place that the two guys in the chat room have gone to, and I think it'd be interesting to see you travel to DBW. Step in there with Mr. Judgment, for one.
Yep, Mr. Judgment. Okay,
There's an info.
Yeah, I think that'd be a nice adventure,
Down in Pennsylvania.
Adventure out, be a nice little starting point.
Right. All right. So let me see. They got quiet on me again.
Where's everybody at?
I don't know. For some reason, people don't seem to tune into the NUW episodes I do very much compared to other things. How about, let's say, if you have one, 5 backyard wrestling bucket list opponents? Whether it be an NUW or overall.
I'd have to say David Lowell, Johnny Reed, I have to throw Jordan Oliver in there. Actually, rank him at number 1 over in.
Gotcha.
But I can't give you top 5, but those are just an names off the top of my head. I'm gonna say bucket list that are people I haven't faced yet.
Right. I leave it to the dark side to come up with questions like that. So,
got any other questions from the dark side?
He says, if a midget gets cut in half, is he still considered a midget?
I don't know. What did you consider him? Like a quarter?
Right?
Oh,
Wow. I've seen worse than that, though, from him, so. kind of went over your own goals for this year already. How did you decide to come up with the name of going by the Pitbull, JJ Cordero?
My middle name is Joseph, and my mom always used to call me JJ when I was young. So, just get my first two initials, get a Pitbull in between because I'm very vicious and fierce. And boom! Time you get JJ the Pitbull Cordero.
There you go. All right. If you guys got any other questions, put them in there. We're probably going to wrap up here soon. And so what do you see your future being in backyard wrestling? How much longer do you think you're going to be competing in backyard wrestling?
I still got a couple of backyard wrestling after me. So I've got a lot to accomplish. But main goal overall is to be the NUW champion. And I think that'll eventually be a goal that I accomplish either soon or yeah.
All right. And then after the backyard career is done, Indy career?
Yes.
Now, where would you see that going? Or hope for it to go? Did I put it?
Well, I've actually had a few indie matches myself.
Heard.
Under the base. But really don't know where that's going to be. But again, it's still open.
Yeah. And it is. Right. I had a question there. What was I thinking? So, they're being quiet. We'll see if they get any in here. I'll give you this. Any last warning or words that you want to give to any future opponents, or even you want to throw anything out there to Mike Fresh, who probably won't see this anyways, but you never know.
Oh, well, if Mike Fresh who's opening the title, so if he wants to take it, by all means, come at me, bro. But to anybody else that watches this podcast and wants me in their event, backyard, show, you want me to wrestle any of your competitors, just drop me a message. I'm open to anybody that'll have me.
If anybody's got any doubts about it, just watch his last couple matches on the NUW channel, and it'll show.
That's another thing. If anyone's got any doubts,
there you go. You're right.
Anybody thinks they got a shot at taking out the Pitbull? Come on, come. I did not say no.
Definitely. Be interesting to see if anything comes out of that. Nice to see in a couple different companies. Like I said, DBW I think would be one, whether it be against Mr. Judgment or some of the other guys there. I'm sure a few of them wouldn't mind.
I just NUW at the time. But I would like to mix it up with his name is Lips. You heard of him?
Yeah, I've heard of Lips.
Yeah.
From UWE, yeah.
Have you seen that thing?
I've had Lips on this podcast, so yes.
Very confusing.
To say the least.
Yeah. A lot of questions I need answered. So if I ever have a chance to ask him, I'd rather ask him in the ring. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I got you. that'd be interesting to see you go from Newburgh Underground Wrestling to Underground Wrestling Entertainment, perhaps, or him coming in there facing you, since Lips did make his debut at Road to Gold 2.
Yes, and he's more than welcome. If you want, if it is, I'm doing an open invitation anytime.
There you go. There's plenty of UWE guys that have popped up in NUW lately, so sure there's all kinds of guys to go from.
Yeah. So the last is on this, so I'm guaranteed a good opponent. You're guaranteed a good match.
Right? All right. So is there anything else you want to promote or mention before we close this out here?
Yes. My next match is going to put him on the championship. Hopefully, if Mike Fresh accepts, please tune in and watch me exact some revenge on this guy. It's going to be amazing.
Sure will be. And I'll be watching.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate it.
Okay. And the dark side agrees, Cordero versus Lips.
Yes.
Could definitely be interesting. Hey, just tell the NUW guys book it.
It could be a very interesting match. It could be very interesting.
Right. Hey. Again, as long as they don't interrupt, because people have a tendency of interrupting me as I'm closing out shows. We'll see if they do tonight or not. But again, thank you for coming on to the show tonight. We had a few people that did ask for you to come on here, so I like to do what fans ask for. So
you gotta get. Hey, Glenn, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Yep. And I'm very happy to have you on here. It was great getting to talk to you, get to know a little bit more about the Pitbull.
Okay. I'm sure I'll be back on some in the future. There's many, so much more to come.
Oh, yes. I would agree with that. And I got plenty of shows that we'll bring you back for, so we'll figure things out.
You know what I'll be watching.
All right. Sounds good. Now, I don't know whom or when another guest from NUW will be on, but I can tell you who the next guest will be on here next week. As of right now, as long as things don't change, because I tried having this guy on about a month ago or so, a guy from here in Michigan, Tommy Zachary, is going to be on next Thursday at 7 p.m. So for everybody watching, that's what you can look forward to. And you might see more content from me, possibly a new show or two before next Thursday. So just keep a lookout on my Twitter page, Tiger121685. You'll see everything there. All right.
Definitely.
And with that being said, one last time, thank you for coming on here. Anything left to say from you?
Classy San Diego?
Sure, let's go with that. All right. This has been Tiger Talks Wrestling. We'll catch you guys on the next time. Peace.